So in part one of She Is Tulsa, I felt like, we interviewed a lot of incredible women and it went really well. And I definitely wanted to do a part two just to make sure that I got that diversity and inclusion and just like this great variety of women that I really wanted. And, also what I found interesting was the way that so many women in the first round and in this round had reinvented themselves, how through various stages in their lives or various trials they had really been able to pivot and start something new. I think it's interesting that this is kind of like the next edition of She Is Tulsa, or the part two, and so many women that are featured in this are kind of also going through their next phase, or their part two, or their metamorphosis, the new version, the new season of them. And I just found that really inspiring. And so I wanted to do a part two so that I could get that diversity and inclusion that I really wanted, and to give like a really beautiful snapshot of like all the women in Tulsa. And it's still a Tulsa thing, right? But it's also a woman thing, and I definitely wanted to focus on that.
I hate to fly. It just kills me to get on an airplane. I don't smoke anymore, and you can't smoke on the airplanes. And so I don't know what to do with my hands. I can't have a cigarette. But when my husband was alive, we did not do a lot of traveling. And since he's passed away, I've really started to travel. My friend Cindy and I flew to Amsterdam. Got to Amsterdam, tested positive for COVID after 2.5 years of not getting it, and had to turn around and come back.
Yeah, something that I noticed across, almost all of these women was their ability to really pivot with grace, to take whatever challenges were coming their way, whatever new season they were at in life, whatever new role it was time for them to take on, whether it be becoming a wife, becoming a mother, a grandmother, a new career, loss, picking up the pieces after loss. The reinvention of these women was really intriguing to me and really inspiring.
When you lose a child, which is the absolute worst thing that can ever possibly happen to you, and you can get through that, you can get through anything at all. And that's one of the reasons that I chose to remain in Tulsa, because my husband and my son are both buried here. And I'm happy here. I have a good life here. I have a lot of friends. We lunch, we shop, we play cards. I do my volunteer work at St. Francis for Pint, which is a dog rescue, and I enjoy that. It gives me something to do. It gets me out of the house. I'm not a housekeeper. I'm a cleaning lady. I admit it. Yeah. I'm pretty spoiled, I gotta say. But that's okay. I deserve it.
That's right. I love that. And then do you have like big plans for 65? Are you gonna do something
like a party?
Anything?
Well, I hope so. I hope my husband does a party. If he doesn't, I'll just organize one for us. But I'm not afraid of turning 65. I've always been a little fearful of my birthday. Like when I turned 60, oh my God, I'm 60, I'm getting so old. But now that I'm turning 65, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm gonna be 65, and I feel great. I feel like I don't look so bad. I'm still active. My husband is still active. I feel so blessed. All of our kids are healthy. All of our grandchildren are healthy. So it's like, wow, I've just got so many blessings, and I'm just ready to keep on celebrating life, but just not have to work so hard. And I think it's really important for grandchildren to have their grandparents. And, all of our children work. And so they're like I was when I was young with children. You work, you go home, you feed them, you bathe them, you put them to bed, you get up the next day, you do it all again. So you don't really have a lot of extra time to do the extra things. And so that's what the joy of being a grandparent is. So that's what I plan on doing, is just loving all my grandkids.
I was with the Indian Health Service, the United States Public Health Service, for 20 years. I served as a dental officer, general dentist, in a large dental clinic. After 20 years, I decided to retire and didn't intend to leave dentistry, but that's basically what happened. And felt like I was supposed to stay home and raise my kids, who were still young and in grade school. And got involved in nonprofit work, felt called to help open a free clinic, which is now open in Collinsville, Oklahoma. It's called the Aruba Community Clinic. We provide medical and dental care to the uninsured and underinsured communities or people in the community here in Northeast Oklahoma. Tulsa is a very unique city. What I really like about it is that being in the Midwest, we tend to have a lot more focus on people in the community and providing for our community, whether that's through programs for their children or nonprofits of all different wide ranges, whether it's for providing meal care or senior care or against trafficking children. But it very much concentrates on the health and wellness of people.
My path towards becoming an RN started much later in life. I was 36 years old when I went back to school, was going through a divorce, having lots of personal problems at that time, but trying to navigate my way in through a new career and something that I'd always wanted to do and had the passion to do, but was never quite able to do. So eventually put myself through school, got divorced, met a great man for this later part of life, and we've been happily together for 10 years now, and he's my best friend, my partner. One thing that we love to do, we travel. I've never traveled so much in my life since being with him. He does work for the airline, so there's the perk. When I decided that I was going to go back to school, and then when I went through a divorce, and I made a decision that I was going to put myself through school and go as far as I could with it, raise my children, but I wasn't actively pursuing a relationship at that time. I was taking care of me. I was focusing on my kids and where I needed to be, but I always said that if somebody came in that, fit into this picture, so be it, that would be a bonus. So I think once I really truly started to focus on me, that I started to draw those people into my lives, my life easily. They just literally fell out of the sky for me. And so I believe, intention and, definitely in the law of attraction. What we put out there, we definitely get back in return. So, if going back to school is something that somebody wants to do, and it's in your gut, that's the universe telling you, you need to do this. And best thing I ever did, it opened up my life in so many different ways. And the woman I am today, from where I was 10 or 15 years ago, is such a stronger, more independent woman.
I think that we really need to see examples of women making big changes in their lives and being brave and moving from one season of life to the next, because we need those examples, we need that inspiration, we need to see other women doing it.
My name is Jennifer Scavo. I own Hot Mess Barbecue food truck. I've been in business going on 7 years. I just love cooking. I love cooking. And I used to clean houses and decided that I wanted to do something different, so I found a food trailer online and just winged it. Well, I didn't know where to start either. I just knew I had to make steps. And then the trailer came equipped with a smoker, which I've never really smoked meat before. So I just tortured my family and friends with smoked meat for like 6 months. But it all came up good, so.
Right now, too, I'm working on my EMT. I'm trying to kind of change my career path to becoming a firefighter, because I do like a little bit more physically demanding and stuff. I feel this profession now, as like becoming a firefighter, is going to have a little bit more impact on empowering women, because I know there's a lot of women firefighters now that I do work out with, and I feel that not only do they empower other women, and they have throw like leadership classes to help us build each other up. So that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Kind of going to the leadership classes and trying to learn different leadership things that maybe I can do at work. You've done over the years.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I grew up in a multi-generational household. My mom, uncles, aunts, my grandmother, and my great-grandfather. So you can imagine how dramatic and I don't know what else to say, comedic our household was. After high school, I joined the military, the Air Force, of course. That's what I want to do. I want to become a medic. I want to, save lives. And that's what I did. I joined the Air Force and did 20 years. I saw it through. It wasn't easy, but I did. I saw it through and retired. I'm highly involved with the veterans. I'm highly involved with, I need spiritual growth, and again with the children. We're involved with our church. We just love giving back. We like unity, we like family, we like how can we help, pretty much. We just like to keep it simple. How can we help? I chose to settle here because I wanted my children to know where I came from. Like this, Tulsa is a part of me, and I want you to learn, and I want you to know why I am the way that I am. They met cousins that I've always talked about that they never seen before. They met my cousins, uncles. We have a huge family. I joke, but I say it's 12 of my mama and them. My grandmother had 12 children.
I think that we really need to see examples of women making big changes in their lives and being brave and moving from one season of life to the next, because we need those examples, we need that inspiration, we need to see other women doing it.
It's more to life. It's more to learn. It's more to see. You don't always have to be comfortable in a box, in a square. Like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to acknowledge that you have traveled the world and to learn other cultures, other traditions that they have.
I don't think that we need to fear the next season in our lives. I don't think we need to fear aging. I don't think we need to fear change. I think we can lean into those things, and I think the women here do that brilliantly. I don't think that we have to fit into any mold or anybody else's preconceived notions of how we should handle changes that come along to us or what our next phase in life should look like. I think that we can definitely take our own path, and the women in this film do that. And I see women doing that all the time.
I'm nearing retirement age, and I am not going to sit around and watch other people do their wonderful things in life. I'm going to do my own wonderful things. So I'm going to travel, I'm going to paint, I'm going to write, and just plan on living my best life.
Do you feel like you live an unconventional life?
You know, I don't, but other people do. My friends think I'm crazy because I bought the family farm 13 years ago, and I have a rundown farmhouse that I want to renovate. And living in an RV, that's one of my books, is about Miss RV Park, and they think it's very unconventional, but they love it too. So yes, I am unconventional. Live unconventionally, go somewhere, see something. Traveling, I think, changes us more than anything because we see how other people live, and we're just not all about the American life and how it's supposed to be.
I remember you saying, when was the last time I had a picture taken of me that captured a period of my life? And it was when I was nursing a baby, 15 years ago. And now that stage of my life is so different, and I do feel like I am experiencing a renaissance of my feminine energy, of my sexual womanhood, and this kind of explosion that happens in your body. It seems physical, it seems spiritual, it's exciting. And so I wanted to capture that. I wanted to see if that could be seen outside of me or if I was just feeling it on the inside. We are told to medicate anything that comes up that is exciting, and when we start to have ideas, we're supposed to, take injections or pills or make that go away, make our crazy go away. So I just don't think we're going crazy. I think we're coming alive, and I think it's a beautiful process. It's an exciting process, and it should be celebrated, and we should be talking about it, and we should tell our daughters to be excited about getting older and becoming wise and feeling yourself from the inside out.
So I have been painting, I've been doing art my whole life. When I got married and had kids, obviously that went on the back burner. And then I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, thinking that would really spur my creativity and get my art flowing again. Well, I lived there for 13 years and really did not feel the spark. And then I decided to move here to Tulsa to be near my brother and my sister who live here. And I don't know what it was. We bought a house on Keystone Lake with a pretty view of the lake, and it was so inspiring to me. I just sat down one day, and my art started pouring out of me, just flowing out of me like you wouldn't believe. Here, it's just a really cool vibe, and I have met so many cool people that are just doing some amazing things. And it's not necessarily, we aren't all professionally trained, but we've all kind of figured out our own style, and I've just really met some great people here. I had no idea Tulsa had an art scene like it has, but it's really awesome.
What would you say, what advice would you give to moms as far as trying to keep, some time for creativity or coming back to it, or, the importance of holding on to that?
It really is important to at least try and dabble. Even if you're not getting where you want it to be, do some creative projects when you have time here and there after the kids go to bed or early in the morning. It really gets your mind focused on your thoughts, and for me, if I were to do it in the beginning of the day, I would set my intention. What do I want my day to be like? And then I would just start going. Maybe set aside 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever you have time for, and just draw or paint or color. I mean, whatever you want to do, just get some thoughts out on paper, and that's really going to keep your creativity flowing.
I think storytelling is like the thread that connects all of humanity. It's that common human thread. It's story, it's culture, it's inspiration. You can never understand how much your story will impact somebody, whether you're doing that through sculpture or painting or an interview or film. You never know what telling your story is going to do for another person.
My name is Brandy Hines Lee. I'm newly married. So I do stained glass. We have been making stained glass for about 5 years as a business. I've been a stained glass artist off and on for over 20 years. We do a lot of custom pieces, and then we like to go and do all the shows, all the art crawls. I am Cherokee, so it's a great way to share my culture and carry on the tradition. I am a third-generation stained glass artist. It's a great way to share your culture. For us, stained glass has been used to tell stories, and I'm able to share stories. The grandmother turtle, we have a turtle stained glass that we make and we do as a class, and we can tell those stories through that. And then also, it's also a way for self-healing. Art can help you. All artists have that. This is what gives me peace. This is what, helps me bring my light, let my light shine, through your art. And then when you teach another person that, it gives them that peace too. So it's important to continue teaching and to do your art and to support each other and finding that inner peace and just being there for others.
I think women make really wonderful connectors. I think we're good at curating groups, and we have this hospitality about us, and we're good at bringing people together and organizing groups of people. And I think no matter what struggle you're going through or what you're passionate about, there's always other women out here who feel the same and understand and would love to connect and who need support, but also want to offer support, I think.
We just thought, we should put our story out in there. We're divorced. the connection that sometimes you need just to have friendships and not necessarily be dying to be in a relationship. And so we started an Instagram page, and we all meant for our stories of ourselves to be funny. Well, we all wrote about ourselves like, and we were just raw and vulnerable, and the feedback that we got. So, I mean, it was like a tumble effect, and came up with a name, Divorced Over 40, and we've been on a couple of networks, we've been interviewed, and we've grown into tons of cities. So Tulsa was our first place, and we got too big to be in a home, so we started going into clubs or whatever. We'd have 150 plus people show up, and then we started thinking, people could do this in their city. And people were reaching out, and so we've grown in all kinds of cities and have city ambassadors, and yeah, it's been really cool. But like for me, as an example, being single, I mean, I didn't know the first thing about how do I find a mover? What about, who's gonna, I mean, so we even have had people that you can get on our website that'll kind of give you contacts of different places to go, because a lot of times as women, especially me, I depended on my husband at the time to do all of that, file my taxes and all the little things. And so it's been the most rewarding experience I've been through, yeah.
I am Dr. Tamika Rogers. I work at Tulsa Tech as the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I've been there for about 13 years, but been in this position for about 3 years. I was in the military. I was in the Navy for about 5 years, stationed in California. I was a hospital corpsman. So I patched up our Marines and sent them back out there, and I love our Marines. They're always so super dedicated. So I love that about being in the Navy, just being around that whole vibe and how we make the people around us our family. Writing became my therapy, and I just fell in love with, and I used to do it all the time before. I used to write when I was a kid, and my aunt read my journal, so I stopped writing. And then I got back to it. I got back to writing. And it was beautiful, and I included my son. And my son said, Mom, we should write some books for my friends and put it in their language so they could understand too, because they would love to. And at his school, there's a high population of Hispanics. Most of his friends are Hispanic. And I said, that's a great idea, because the whole thing with the books is, I think is representation matters. And while we were stuck at home in the house, there was no book. There was a few books that we had with the main characters being African American, but not too many. And so I said, we need to be a part of the solution. So at that point, that's when Keith and I started writing books with African American boys as the main character. You don't see that often. Then we started putting it in different languages, Spanish mainly, because I was friends. But then I went to Africa, and I donated a whole bunch of book supplies and books, and I was like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And then I noticed that I didn't have any in Swahili. So my last book I just wrote or just published, Keith and I and my cousin, it is called Who Said You Could Touch My Hair? And that is in English, Swahili, Spanish, and French. We bring life. That's what we do. We nurture, right? We heal. We do all of these things. Just think about the lion and the lioness, right? The lioness goes out and gets it and brings it back, right? And then the lion is the protector, right? And so that's what we're missing, right? We're missing those opportunities. We have so many women who have so much to offer, but we're trying to suppress them to make other people around us feel comfortable, right? So we could have all the knowledge, but it's harder for us to get the resources, to pull it off.
I think all women can kind of understand, that being a woman comes along with certain struggles or certain adversities or certain things that we have to overcome, right? I know that my first job was at a car shop. I played on my high school football team, my all-male high school football team. I know what it's like to be the only woman in the room. I know what it's like to have assumptions made about me because I'm a woman, maybe to be overlooked or underestimated. So I think that all women understand that. I think we've all experienced, some level of feeling at a disadvantage for being a woman.
I'm Kay Webster, romance author of over 130 books. A lot of those are banned, and they, have to sell them out of the trunk of my car or, on other websites. Yes, I'm a proud romance author. I am proud of what I do. I love what I do. I love all my readers. I love the connection. So I'm not embarrassed. You can be embarrassed, but I'm not embarrassed. Yeah. Like with me, it's like, oh, how dare you? You're a mom. How could you write this? And it's like, why is it any different for me than, the writers for Game of Thrones or whatever, like the super popular stuff? Like, I don't understand why it's not okay for me. Why? Because, I'm just this sweet mom. I'm just supposed to, be good and, take the kids to school and all of that. And that's not how I want to be. Like, I like to push the boundaries, and I know that I like to read books where the boundaries are pushed. It's interesting. It makes me, like, think outside the box, and I just feel like everybody needs to have that. I just say, if you feel passionate about it, then you got to do it. Like, just do it. Just know that you're going to meet some opposition. Don't go blindly thinking that everybody's going to love it, because they're not. Just go ahead and assume that probably a lot of people aren't going to like it. And if you're okay with that, then, go ahead and proceed. And, I feel like I don't care what people think. I'm happy. That's all that matters. I'm proud of what I'm doing. So if that's how, if they feel proud of what they've made or created or done, then go forth and do it, and don't care, because there's going to be so many more people that are going to love it and support you and want that. And so, I don't know, that's how I feel.
I think the only way to overcome the particular changes that are special to women, right, that women experience is looking to each other. I think that women are the solution for the challenges that we face. I think it looks like supporting other women-owned businesses. I think it looks like sharing resources, giving advice, passing on knowledge. I think that women are ultimately the ones who are going to empower other women. And together is, us coming together is the only way that we can overcome, all of our special challenges.
Yeah, but I think that, there's just a lot of really great businesses that are women-owned in Tulsa, and it's important that we all recognize that, because there's a lot of companies that, it's hard to break into as a woman. And when you break those barriers, there's never a better feeling than that. I started my first company when I was 22, almost 23, and I just kept going from there. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that is like the most important thing to me, is empowering women. I've spent the last 20 some odd years helping other women, especially single moms, to start their own companies and to be a support system for them so that they can learn how to run a business, how to move forward as a woman. I think that's super important as women, is to support each other and really mean it. Not just say you're going to be there for someone, but actually be there and help them in every step of the way. And it's a lot of work, especially when you are helping multiple people, but it's so worth it to see them flourish and be successful. I think besides my 4 children, that's been the most fulfilling thing for me over the years, is just to watch other women, other entrepreneurs get after it and be successful.
Young Lady Leaders is the name of the group that I have founded last year, and it's specifically for junior high age girls 11 to 15 years of age that are from lower income areas in Tulsa. And our focus is helping the girls discover, develop, and deploy their natural gifts, their talents, and most importantly, their entrepreneur abilities. Regarding entrepreneurship, one of the things we're really trying to get them to see is other women in the community, and so they are loving that. We have gone to a florist shop, we have gone to a restaurant, giving them a chance to be exposed. That's the number one thing that I saw, is their exposure is minimal. So in addition to my nonprofit work, I am a real estate broker. In the last 3 years, I have worked primarily with widows. It just kind of happened. Didn't even go looking for that. It started with a dear friend and then a friend of a friend, and it just was a new demographic group that I just felt compelled to be and help them. And in the course of doing that, little did I realize 3 years later I would be joining them in that title. And I was widowed recently, and in the course of going through what I call the wilderness of widowhood, I realized that there were women who were stuck. I had women messaging me that had been widowed 2, 5 years and were stuck. And I thought, I can't do that. That's not how I lived my life. It's not how my husband and I had our life together. And so why would that be the path I go down now? And so after a lot of quiet time, a lot of soul searching, talking with a number of other widows, I decided to create a boot camp of widows to warriors. Our objective is to think about who we were with our husband, who we were before our husband, and who do we want to be going forward now. Pull the best of those things that we've done over the years and then recreate who am I without him, and help them have a new, I call having hope and being bold is where I want to get them to.
When women get help, they are better able to help everybody else. But when women help women, and we form a community as women to build each other up, what a community we can have. You know, because I see so many, you know, women here in Oklahoma, and I think it's a legislator's wife that developed the shopping cart like blankets so that you can put your babies in the shopping cart and they don't have to touch the icky. You know, that is out of necessity. Women typically create and find ways to navigate that other people don't see, because they see the problem and think, we have to resolve this. What can we do? I have no resources, so how can we do this with no money, no nothing? And I love that. I love that. I grew up with a single mom, and I think that was, you know, something that we had to learn. We didn't have a lot of money, and we, you know, if the TV was broken, we had to either get back there and fix it, or, you know, when something happened, we just had to figure out a workaround. And that's kind of my thought process. What, you know, we have a need. What do we do? What can we do? Let's figure it out. Like, we can change, and we can meet the need of that family that will ripple to that community, that will ripple to other people who can see that there is a way. I know a lot of people think, oh, the men are the kind of the base of the family, but I would disagree with that. I think the women are the ones who seek out childcare, who go to the schools, and not that all dads don't. I mean, we have a lot of single dads here who participate, and I think that's incredible, and I love that. But there is something about the mothering native aspect of the matriarchal family. I definitely would agree with that.
Well, our podcast and our ministry was birthed out of a lot of disappointment and pain in our own relationship and our marriage. And week after week, what we do is we bring healing and restoration and hope to marriages, to families. It's really my passion, especially helping women get their lives back. Get their lives back, and that they don't lose their identity in who they really are. You know, and we lose ourselves. I feel like women lose themselves, and they need to get back to who they are, and sometimes that takes a lot of healing. That takes a lot of forgiveness, and you know, and that's where we come in, and that's where my heart is, and my passion is to help marriages and women, families, to become restored back. And restoration means to be, you know, better than it was originally. So it's a beautiful thing. I love it. Do this. You have to say, I'm not listening to the naysayers. And listen, they're not living your life. You have to live your own life. And you're never too late. That's the thing.
Absolutely, representation matters. I know, you know, my aunt was an iron worker when I was growing up, and she helped build bridges, and she worked with rebar, and she was the only woman that did that at the time, and it definitely influenced, you know, how I felt about my potential and what I could do. And so I think that young women have to see women in professions that they might not have considered for themselves, because there's a world of opportunity that can be missed if, you know, there's a job that we haven't even pictured ourselves in, right? Or a role that we haven't seen a woman in yet. So I think that seeing that is super important.
I'm a waste and recycling consultant for American Waste Control, and I've been with them since 2011. I've been a part of implementing the first single stream recycling program to our area, Tulsa and the surrounding areas. It's been such a fun adventure, and to see how far we've came. When this recycling program first started, we had recyclable containers at schools and churches where people could go and drop off their recyclables. We've come so far now that we have curbside recycling. I actually serve on the board for the National Waste and Recycling Association's Women's Council, and there is not a lot of women in our industry. I am actually the only female on my team, and so it's fun, and I get to see a lot of things, but we're making a big stance in the waste and recycling industry to get women on board with this industry and get boots on the ground and realize that it's not just a man's type of work. It's anybody could do this. And we actually have our first female driver that runs a route for us. She actually runs our recycle route, so that's even more awesome. So it's been really neat to see, and I'm excited to see more women get involved in this industry.
Straight out of college, after finishing getting a master's degree in biology from OSU, working in the conservation world, and worked for the Nature Conservancy and the Oklahoma Biological Survey. And that was so fulfilling and so eye-opening, gave me the chance here in Tulsa and around the state to be able to identify where I was by plants alone. So I got that good conservation background, and I try to apply it to what I do now as an environmental consultant. So I kind of think of myself as a bit of a guardian to a certain degree. Maybe not as much as I would like sometimes, but yeah, there's things that have to be watched out for in this world, and so I get to do that on a good day.
So I've been in the tech industry for 15 years, and I can remember. Now, this is in the olden days. I would have a book of CDs, and I would go into somebody's office and say, I need to install the latest version of Excel for you. And it wasn't uncommon for them to go, you're in IT? You're in IT? You? Yes, I am. Now I need to install this. Can we please? I'm here to help. Get out. Over the last 15 years, I don't hear that as much. It is getting better. And I think one of the things that is helping to get it better is allyship between men and women to say, you know, maybe there are things that make tech intimidating for women. Maybe it's because you're walking into a computer room full of guys. Just that alone, because as human beings, we gravitate to people that are similar to us. So that alone can be very intimidating. You know, I don't want to be the first one to stand up and go get a donut on the donut table, but if somebody else does it, well, now it's more comfortable. So seeing women come together to support other women, I think is very important. And I think sometimes as women, we tend to be a little bit more competitive, and we can even intimidate each other. But breaking down those barriers is very, very important. And having men come alongside and say, I support you, not because you're a woman, but because you're competent, because you know what you're doing, and then having those allies within the community too to say, I see and I recognize that there's an issue here. What can we do together to make it better? But yeah, it's always fun when they say, oh man, you know, I used to want to do this, but then I didn't because of this or these reasons, but it's great to see, you know, another female in tech, and it's always encouraging.
Yeah, so I definitely know what it's like to be the only woman in the room, whether that was on my high school football team or my first job at a car mechanic. I think all women can relate to that. Yeah, I think only a woman can understand what a woman's going through or what that situation is like. And I think it takes a lot of passion to push through those barriers and really, break stereotypes.
I'm Renan, and I'm a structural engineer. I work for an architectural firm. I'm an architectural structural engineer. And so basically we're designing the bones of every building that goes up that we work on. We don't do the fancy stuff, but we do the stuff in the ground and the stuff that makes it hold up. Well, this is almost 45 years that I've been in the business. And when I was in architectural school at OSU, there were just 2 or 3 women. There are more now, but I would say it's probably still less than 20%. It may be maybe 15% of women are going into the field, which is kind of crazy because it's a really good field. You can always get a job, and it's interesting. And if you're good at what you do, your companies will work to keep you.
I think women that are excelling in male-dominated careers are doing so because they're super passionate. I think you have to love what you do, and you have to be really, it has to be part of your drive and your value system to make change in your career, and that you have to feel really, really good about what you're doing in your career in order to, overcome some of the challenges that come along with being in a field that maybe doesn't have a lot of women in it.
I do think so. Unfortunately, however many years ago it was when urban renewal came through here, and they tore down a lot of buildings that we could still be renovating, but they put parking lots in the regular central business district. So the outlying areas are the ones that still maybe have the older buildings that can be renovated. We have so much history in this city, it would be a shame to tear things down just to build something new.
So I am Susan Young. I am running for House District 23, the State House of Representatives, which is Southern Rogers County in East Tulsa. And I'm a Democrat. I am running because I really feel like we need a better balance of the 2 parties in Oklahoma. I don't think it's good when one party dominates. And it's been both ways. When I was a kid, the Democrats dominated, but now the Republicans dominate. And in neither case do I think it serves the state very well. And so I think we need more women, and we need more Democrats in the state legislature, and I am hoping to be able to convince enough people to vote for me that happens. Oklahoma's had a woman governor, and Tulsa's had a couple of women mayors. I don't think it's anything real unusual or exotic. I think it's just, it's people aren't surprised to see a woman running for office, and I have never gotten any negative comments, not to my face anyway, about being a woman running for office. I like talking to people. I love meeting people. I'm out knocking doors every day, and I meet so many people, and they're all different and they're all fascinating. So I really, really do like that. I used to be a public health nurse. I went to people's homes and educated them about, chronic illnesses and about child care and about taking care of themselves when they were pregnant and just all kinds of stuff. And this kind of reminds me of it. That was my favorite job ever, and this has kind of taken me back to it. So I really like it.
In the first round and in this round, I was just blown away by pretty much every woman was involved in their community in some way. They had some sort of nonprofit, or they were volunteering, or they were doing something to benefit the people where they live. And I think that's incredibly admirable. And I think it's something that's very special about the women in Tulsa.
Women are excellent problem solvers. And that's basically kind of what a social worker is, a professional problem solver. Anything that doesn't quite fit in anyone else's area, let's go to the social worker and see if she can kind of give us some perspective here on how we should handle things. So yes, I do in that sense feel like women are well suited to social work. I'm a social worker here in Tulsa. I have worked in this community for probably around 30 years now, and right now the population that I work with is the veteran population. I would say that's probably the only population I hadn't worked with up until the point that I started at the VA, but I really love the population. I work primarily with a returning combat veteran, so that's the group that's just coming back from combat. Many of them have a lot of issues that they're dealing with, but it's very rewarding just kind of helping them get through those obstacles and kind of transition into regular civilian life. So there's just a lot of good things, I think, happening here in Tulsa now that I'm so happy to see. A lot of the diversity and inclusion, access, all of those conversations are happening here now. And I think it has been a long time coming, but there are a lot of really good things happening here now, and I'm very pleased with that progress.
So, Real Key Superheroes, we dress up like superheroes or fun characters, Disney princesses, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, all the fandoms that are popular that you see on TV or in movies. And we go visit children in the hospital, or we visit the nursing homes at Christmas time. And our mission statement is to bring joy and compassion to our communities, which is what we do. My favorite part is seeing the smile on that person's face. that's my favorite. Just the joy that we bring, whether it be Spider-Man going up there and giving him a high five, or just the kid running up to a character and just a hug. We just blindly going up there and hugging them. They're strangers, right? But not really. Not Queen Elsa. Not Moana. They're not strangers. These are familiar characters. These children. So yes, they're comfortable enough to run up and hug these people. So yeah, that's where I find my joy.
Okay, my name is Sarah Luttrell-Smith, and I teach at Jenks Public Schools, and I've been teaching for 21 years. I'm going into my 22nd year, and I teach the 2nd grade. I just feel like, teachers are just such impactful people in the community and in children's lives. Like, they, to me, are the most valuable people because they are pouring into children, and, that's the future. So, honestly, that to me, I feel like it's one of the most important jobs. I just feel blessed that I get to do it every day. One of the things I love to do is, and this is one of the things I love about Tulsa, is I love to walk and run Riverside. It's my happy place. And so I just take off to the trail, and I have since my very beginning of teaching. So it just kind of clears the mind. And I used to run out there with my son. He, when he was little, he would be in the stroller and I'd be running with him and he'd be propped back, just chilling. And now I go with my husband. So yeah, I just love it out there. And I've just loved to see the changes in Tulsa. Over the years, Riverside has changed so much. There was a great big white house with a big yard, and now there's the gathering place. And I'm just continuing to watch the changes as I walk by every time. I always stop and take pictures, and my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, this is a huge moment, in Tulsa, it's changing, and we're a part of that, and that's so cool. And
So I right now I manage a homeless outreach team for a Tulsa nonprofit, and I've been doing that for about 2 years. I went to college 20 years ago, didn't work out, I had too much fun, I had to leave. And then so I just kind of started doing just jobs here and there. I became a restaurant manager. I was, all these little silly customer service jobs. And then I became a mom back to back, and it was either go to work and pay for my daycare or just stay at home. So I got to stay home with my kids, which that was really nice to be able to stay home with my kids. So when I finally got back into the workforce, I was doing another one of those silly customer service jobs, and it was just vexing my spirit. And so I decided, I was like, well, if I'm going to stay in this tax bracket, I need to do something with, something more meaningful. And I had that recovery piece that I've been in recovery for 11 years. So at that moment, it was about 8, and I knew I could use that. For a long time, I fought that. I'm not really sure why I did. I don't know why I fought that. I didn't realize how passionate I would become when I first started. To me, it was just okay, well, this is my foot in the door, and then I just fell in love with the population. And then the more and more you get into social work, the more you're like, oh, well, I need to put some letters behind my name because I see things that need to change. And a lot of times they don't take you seriously unless those letters are behind your name. So that's when I just started really okay, well, maybe I should go back to school. And so I finally started going back a couple of years ago, and they weirdly let me keep some of the college credits that I had when I was 18 and 19 years old, which I didn't think it was a thing, but so I kind of got an upper on that. But
Yeah. Being a light in your community doesn't have to be official. It doesn't have to be something so traditional or obvious, right? I mean, of course, there are nonprofits and there's women volunteering, but there are a lot of women in this project and in Tulsa in general who are making changes in their communities every single day, and it's as simple as for them as, you know, making a decision to help somebody. A lot of women are moving every day in ways that are quiet and unassuming, and they're still profoundly impacting people's lives.
So I had my first, last, and only child when I was 40, and we were blessed with a son named Zach, who is 13, just finished 7th grade. So all I say is where I'm standing is where I can influence. And so if those children and those people are in my home, I can be a place of safety. And that's where Mama Bear, Mama Lynette, that's what they call me. I've got a Snapchat account called Mama Lynette. But that's kind of a way to just, for me to just send them a quick message, you know, just say, hey, how you doing? How's your summer been? Just paying attention. And parents are so busy working and dealing with their own lives, a lot of them divorced, single parents, etc. Children are just flat out ignored. And it breaks my heart. In a lot of interesting ways, I too was kind of somewhat ignored growing up, largely because my mom had come from a pretty, her mother died when she was 7 and was raised by her great-grandmother. So she never really learned the interaction and how to nurture or how to detect when somebody's not necessarily feeling that great or and know how to seek that out. And so fortunately, I have learned how to do that over the years. And I have a quote in our house that says, people will tell you a lot if you listen.
Tulsa is a really exciting place to be right now. And I don't want to say up and coming. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's enticing. It's drawing people in. People are pouring into this place from other states. Every single time I go somewhere, I meet somebody who's just moved here from another state. And I don't think there'd be so many transplants if this place wasn't desirable. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of art. There's a lot to do. Every neighborhood's a little different. There's lots of great places to live. And I think Tulsa's really hot right now. I think it's a place that people are starting to see as a destination place to come live. It's a place people are definitely considering, maybe more than they used to be. And I think that's a good thing.
So I am born and raised a Tulsa girl. I have lived here my entire life. I went to Jinx High School, go Trojans. Me and my husband moved out to Broken Arrow about 7 years ago. I still consider that the Tulsa community. Don't tell Broken Arrow people that, but I feel like Tulsa is really the bigger community in itself. That is Bixby, that is Broken Arrow, that is Owasso, that is Jinx, but we are Tulsa. And that's really what's powerful to me, is because we are so much better together than we are apart. So I am so honored to be the executive director of the most amazing nonprofit in Broken Arrow called Broken Arrow Neighbors. We are a food pantry first and foremost. That is what we do. The heart and soul of what we do is feed the people of Broken Arrow. We also offer financial services. We also just added an incredible new program called Jumpstart, which is a job mentorship program, pairing mentors within the community and truly helping to end generational need on our organization. So it's an amazing organization. We serve about 11,000 people in our community every single year. And we were actually just awarded the Nonprofit of the Year from the Broken Arrow Chamber. So that was a huge honor for us to be named that. So.
I'm Marie McManus, and I sell real estate here in the Tulsa market. Love the Tulsa market. Tulsa is a very hot market. It is one of the top areas to live. We have tons of transplants coming in. COVID really proved to the business world that you don't have to be in brick and mortar. And so everybody started looking at making the amount of money they make, but then where can they do that and actually make their dollar go further? Tulsa is one of those hubs. Tulsa Remote has been a huge boost to the transplant I would say frenzy, if you will, coming in. So it's been really exciting to help them come in, as well as our wonderful Oklahomans get their own home. And that's what I love about it, is really just the home ownership part. So literally we truly have it all. I've never seen so eclectic of a collection of lifestyle that you can live. We have a booming arts district that's booming and coming alive, which is beautiful. I love it. You have the music scene that's rejuvenating. You have the movie scene coming back to life here. I mean, I was talking with a lady, I showed her a really cute 1930s home. She loved it because she was a decorator for scenes. And so of course she loved the details. But it was just funny to hear her talk about, maybe transplanting here because the movie scene is, the cinema, it's coming. And it's really cool to see different neighborhoods come back alive and just really bring that art piece back. And it's one of the great things that we have here in Tulsa that we don't have in a lot of other states.
So I am a personal trainer here in Tulsa. I've been training for 21 years here in Tulsa. And I'm also on the board of the Equality Center, and as well as the Harweldon annual Christmas party, which was founded by a group of gay men many, many years ago because they could not take their spouses or their partners to their regular Christmas party. And so it's become an amazing, just a huge party every year now. There are 12 people on the board, 6 lesbian women and 6 gay men, and we are happy to bring that to Tulsa. There are a lot of fitness-related activities here constantly in Tulsa. But we've got our farmers market, so lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. We've got our bicycle lanes and all of that good stuff. So people are trying to get fit here in Tulsa.
I think there's a lot of opportunity in Tulsa. I think that, this is a place that you can come and really kind of like catch your breath. There's room to grow your business. There's room to be ambitious. There's lots of opportunity here. And I think for women, there's a sisterhood here. I've had so many women reach out to me and offer resources and help, or just to have a cup of coffee with me. And I just think that it is a place that you can start over, or, that you can really achieve what you want to achieve.
I was 20 years old, and I just came straight work. Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to go to school, but it don't matter. You just, whenever you wanted to grow up, you just work hard for your dreams, and it come true. Sell business is I clean houses, and also I have a business that I own a couple of years ago that is renting houses, which is good, so I can have extra income. Yes, well, I will tell them that everything is possible. Just be brave, and then you can do whatever is in your mind with God's help. I am Rosalba Gonzalez, and I am Tulsa.
I think only another woman can understand the struggles and setbacks that are unique to women. And I think one of the things about Tulsa that's so beautiful is, the women here are really ready to uplift each other and support each other and be there. And, every woman that did this project, almost every woman said, I don't know why you chose me. I had artists saying, I thought this was for entrepreneurs, and I have entrepreneurs saying, I thought this was for, artsy types. And it's just funny how a lot of the women just didn't see why they fit in amongst this group of women being celebrated. And I think sometimes we need that. We need other women to recognize us and tell us, like, no, what you're doing is important, and you are special. And Tulsa's got that going on. Tulsa has women who are ready to take you on in and let you know that you are killing it, and that they like what you're doing, and how can they help. And there is definitely a sisterhood going on here in Tulsa, and I'm really happy to be a part of that.
Well, I have been a cardio person for most of my life. That kind of stemmed from some bullying I had taken as a child because I was a little overweight. However, it was because my grandma made the best homemade tortillas. But anyways, so, all of those little things, negative things, stuck with me for most of my life. And about 15 years old, I thought, you know what, my dad runs, my family runs, I'm gonna just take up running and see, you know, where that's gonna get me. So I did drop a lot of weight by doing that. At some point when I got older, I've been running for most of my life, but some point in my mid-30s, I knew I had to kind of change it up a lit. And then I stepped into CrossFit, and I have met the most amazing fitness family that I think I have ever been a part of. In the last 3 years, I have made some major moves in my life, some growth changes, wanting to grow in different areas of my life. I was sexually assaulted as a child more than once, and back then I didn't have the supportive environment that I needed to heal from that properly. And so I carried a lot of that with me through my childhood, through my teenage years, even into my 20s and early 30s. It did mold a certain way of seeing the world, I guess my perspective, it molded. And in 2019, I suffered a very, very traumatic event that led me into therapy to kind of help clear my mind. And I didn't realize, crap, this is really hard. This is a lot of tears. This is a lot of confusion. This is a lot, and you have to be very strong to be able to get through it with not only yourself in mind, but your loved ones in mind as well. Journey of self-discovery, it's not the easiest, but it is definitely worth it. I love my people, and I love big. I love the people that I care about. I just love them so much. And I've come to a point in my life where I have realized I've got to give myself that same love. I have got to love myself just as fiercely, because if I don't, how am I supposed to love everybody else that way, you know? And so it's all of these little things, even this photo shoot, it just seems like things right now are all being timed just perfectly for the journey that I'm on. It's a lot painful right now, but it's not all painful. There are rewards and treasures that I am holding on to through this time of my journey right now, figuring things out with my family, with myself. And it's very empowering. It's very scary, but on the other hand, I feel like I have the strength to get through it with a good head on my shoulders, you know, and with a good heart. And really, that's all we can ask for in this world, is to make a difference where we can, but be true to ourselves in that whole journey as well.
Connecting with women is so important. In fact, what I do every day with our nonprofit, Lisa May Ministries, is about care, connection, and community. And most of our work is done with women that have walked through a broken place. And, you know, community has been so important, and that connection. And I love it because even what we've been through today, I didn't realize that, you know, so much of what I do is pouring out. And it just felt so good to feel that connection of receiving a little bit. And I know that one of my patients was so excited that we help, and they're like, you finally get to go and you get to receive. And I used to feel like that givers and servers, it's hard to receive. And what I do all day is I deal with many breast cancer patients. I deal with patients that are in hospice. I deal with children that are abused. We deal with veterans. But there's so many women out there that feel so broken. And what a joy it is to be able to be a part of that connection, to even help them feel a little bit about how I felt today. And it's been such a blessing. And Nicole, thank you for making this such a special day. of just feeling like you're special. You know, what you do matters. Because sometimes it's easy in the midst of all of the giving to feel like, is what I'm doing really significant? Does it matter? And it all matters. It all matters. Thank you for what you're doing. I always cry. I hate it when I cry all the time. Lisa cries. Thank you. Can I hug you?
I'm wondering, I'm a transplant. I wonder how long, like, I hope people in LA hate transplants, and I hope that, like, they're not gonna start being like that here, you know? How long do I have to live here before I can complain about transplants instead of being one? Like 5 years? 10? So I can, like, you know, be a curmudgeon about it, like, get off my lawn, you damn transplants. You know? Yeah, or be really bougie about it. Oh God, transplants, they're transplants. Yeah. All right, hopefully that worked.